Hello, algebra students. We got asked a question on this tricky little example from the experience level practice of solving two-step equations, and it was from the online class. So if you want the ability to ask me questions personally, you should join the online courses too. This one's Algebra Essentials. So here we go. 30 equals negative a plus 14 over 2. Now, this could be a 2 or a 3-step equation depending on how you solve it. I want to do it in 2 because I'm lazy, but let's take a look. What I notice, first of all, is that out front of the entire fraction, I have a negative. See how it's not lined up with the a, but it's lined up with the fraction bar? That means it's making this entire ugly expression, this entire fraction, negative. Now think of what negating means. We've talked about this before. Negation, a negative out front of everything, is the same as multiplying by -1. So it's like this entire fraction is being multiplied by -1. An act of negation is like multiplication. But I see something else happening to this whole expression. Look how this fraction bar is nice and long. It pulls out under the entire a plus 14, and then we have that 2 underneath. What I'm seeing is that this expression a plus 14 is also being divided by 2. And since multiplication and division are the same step, basically, they are the same operation, but in opposite directions, right? They're inverses of each other. I can deal with them at the same time. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get rid of this multiplying by a negative and this dividing by 2 all at the same time. And let me show you how. So I'll start with just what the opposite of dividing by 2 is. Obviously, well, I don't know if it's obvious, but we've learned that the opposite of dividing by 2 is multiplying by 2. So I'm going to take this entire right-hand side, because remember, multiplication passes out. So I'm going to take the entire right-hand side, and I'm going to multiply by 2. That will get rid of that divide by 2. Of course, whatever I do to the right-hand side, I need to also do to the left-hand side in order to respect that equivalency, right? We need to keep the right-hand side and the left-hand side equal. But one more thing, I told you I want to get rid of that negative at the same time. Well, think about what happens when you multiply. A negative times a negative is a positive. And so I am going to, right from the start, be super duper lazy. And instead of multiplying by plain old 2, I'm going to multiply both sides by -2. So that's what I'm doing. I'm multiplying both sides by -2. And why am I doing that? Well, guys, because my goal is to start getting rid of these symbols so that this a can be alone. So what's going to happen here? Well, negative times a negative is a positive, so that's going to cancel out. And multiplying by 2 and dividing by 2 are opposites, so that's going to cancel out. And all I'm going to be left with then is that grouping of a plus 14, which is now free from its group. It's no longer in a fraction. It's no longer the entire thing being multiplied by a negative. And now on this other side, you can do it in your calculator if you need to, but -2 times 30, 2 times 30 is 60, and I just have a single negative multiplying, and so it'll stick around. Now I'm almost done, but I need to get a alone. As you can see, there's still a number hanging out with a. We have 14 being added to a. So if I'd like to take it away, I'm going to do the opposite of adding 14. I'll subtract that 14. As usual, I'll keep my balance. I'll respect that equal sign. Adding 14 and subtracting 14 are opposites. They cancel. A is alone just like I wanted. And then you can do this in your calculator if you want to. But if you're already in debt, $60, you're down 60. And then you go down another 40. You take another 14 away. You are going to be all the way at -74. And of course, you can type that in your calculator. -60 minus 14. And your calculator will return -74. All right. The tricky, scary thing for most students is that negative out front. But once again, if it's multiplying by everything, it doesn't matter if we multiply or divide. When you're looking at multiplication and division, 2 negatives cancel. All right. So whether you're multiplying or dividing, 2 negatives are going to cancel. And so that's how we dealt with that. All right. Now, I'm glad that you learned it this way. Now go try number 14 on the same exact practice. It says negative p minus 16 over 3 equals 2. And again, that negative is out front in front of the fraction bar, not the p. And see if you can make it work now. All right, you guys, happy learning.